Alright. This war is against GØRE, led by the fearless Aegon Targaryen. Big fat Dormammu up there, which makes me tingle. Alright, we are going to Node 21, and it's a 455 Cosmic Champion. It's Carnage. That also makes me tingle. Carnage, in my opinion, is a very cool champion. I think he's really fun to play, and his character design and animations are really cool. Plus he has great prestige, but he is absolute dog shit. I really hope that he gets buffed soon, as many people do, because I really like him. I have him at 345 myself, and I would not be opposed to ranking him to 455 if he got buffed. So, okay, here is Labyrinth Ultron on Node 27, and if you guys notice, this fight looks like it's in slow motion. It's not. This is normal speed. This is normal, slow speed. It just looks like it because the first fight was in fast motion. So check this out. This is a good fight, good learning experience for everybody, just to see the dangers of Labyrinth Ultron. Boom, he evades my medium attack, and he whops me a couple times, puts the poisons on me, and if I were not Blade with 2 bars of power, which enabled me to shrug off that poison debuff a lot faster than normal, then I probably would have died. And here is a tip. Here is a tip against all Evade defenders. So both Ultrons, Black Widow, Spider-Man, Nightcrawler, obviously. Against those champs, if you want to be very safe against those evades, which you really should be every war, only use light attacks and use 4-hit combos. When you throw a medium attack, your character lunges and you leave yourself completely exposed to a counterattack if they evade. So I will not be using medium attacks against Ultron anymore, especially on Node 27 with True Strike. He hits hard. It's just not a good idea, guys. Okay, that was a 345 Morningstar on Enhanced Crits, Enhanced Bleeds. Actually, pretty good placement. Unfortunately, at 345, she's just not any match for a 565 Blade. So, placement wasted. And here is also kind of becoming a common, I wouldn't say a common placement, but kind of like a fashionable placement, putting Phoenix here. Because when she gets the right of the Phoenix, I think that's what her signature ability is called. When she gets to 1% health, she obviously gets that huge boost of regeneration, but also she can get a boost of power gain, which obviously would be, I assume, the intent of putting her on that node. But here I am going to throw in some boosts. I'm not really worried about this fight. It's a 345 5-star skill champion. I'm thinking Killmonger, worst case scenario. It's not, it's Elektra. It's an unblockable 1 node, so really just can't screw up on the L1, but it's not too difficult to counter. So that's that. But I threw on the boost because I'm going to be running 3 of these fights back to back to back. So that's the first of them. The next one is presumably a Yondu on Bane, and Yondu is a welcome sight at this point. So it is a Yondu, and as I've mentioned in the past, a lot of times against Yondu, especially on Bane, I will try to build up to 3 bars of power and hold that power for as long as I'm able to time the Bane timer, because number one, obviously against Yondu, he can bleed you through the block, and then the other thing is against Bane, it's just handy to have an L3 ready, just in case that Bane timer flips onto you, and you know, if you're playing against Mordo or something like that, he's not giving you an opening, then just throw that L3, it'll automatically flip that Bane timer to them. Plus with Blade, and that's exactly what I do here. Plus with Blade, you have an 85% chance to stun the opponent with that L3. So you're usually going to do it, and able to wipe out that Yondu, which is great. And then the mini boss fight on double power gain and unblockable 2 is Punisher 2099. So this fight is also at normal speed, and the reason is because I screw up on his L1. So I just kind of instinctively avoid that first L1, and then I'm not able to get my block up in time, so I take all of those hits, all 8 hits. So I take 8 hits, so one mistake, 8 hits, but there's a very small window, I think, against Punisher 2099 if you're going to evade that first component of the L1 and then block the rest. Sometimes I just can't get that block up enough. So obviously I wised up here, and from here on out I'm just blocking all of the L1. I'm not going to worry about that minor chip damage. Plus blade under 70%. Holding that block, I can just heal right back up. So it's not really an issue. And just trying to kill him before he gets to an L2. And he gets to an L2, I get my L3, so I'm going to throw that here, and that'll wipe him out. So, but yeah, against Punisher 2099, especially on unblockable 1 nodes, sometimes, man, he's just going to get you with that L1 because it's tough to get your block up in time. And the second component of his L1 is, I would say, very difficult to evade. So, okay. I have said in my war videos in the past that with a 565 magic against a 455 Dormammu, you've got a little bit of a margin for error, so you can afford to get intercepted once, maybe even twice, and it won't really be a big deal. But this is a 565 Dormammu, and this is the weirdest fight I've ever had against Dormammu, and you'll see why. Obviously, it's at normal speed, so that I can kind of give some more in-depth commentary on what happens and what causes me to ultimately have an ugly fight against Dormammu. But obviously, first order action against Dormammu, get to an L2, boom. I'm gonna hit him with the L2, power lock him. Now I want to either get to another L2 or bait that L1. You usually don't want to bait the L1. If he's going to throw it, that's no problem. But he's too far, so I don't have enough. I've got too much room to back him in the corner. Now he's backed in the corner. I throw that. He didn't bait, and then he again sits on me in the corner, and he intercepts me. So that's interesting. Brought me down to 48% health from about 75%. But no matter. So I'm at 48% health. Not really a big deal. I'm just going to start okie dokie him again. And here he sits on me twice again. He sits on me twice, and then he intercepts me a second time in the fight. So he kills me, which is shameful for me. My primary job in our battle group is to solo the Dormammu bosses, and it sucks that that happened, but this is actually a good learning experience for me. So I made a mistake that I didn't know that it was a mistake, but so normally if you get him cornered, obviously you do the 4-hit backdraft technique, and sometimes he'll sit on you, and normally when that happens, you just hit into his block twice, and then you backdraft him again, and that's enough. But you notice twice in that fight, he sat on me 2 times when I was trying to do that backdraft. So I had a conversation, or all of us kind of had an open conversation in our war chat about how to avoid that. And the preeminent boss killers in 4 Loki are probably Dubes and B Manny. And they both suggested that when that happens against Dormammu, when he's being a little bitch, basically sitting in the corner, if it happens once, you hit into his block and you backdraft. If you hit into his block a second time and he doesn't bait out, then just hold your block, let him attack into you, and then you can just bait the heavy and restart the entire process. Instead, what I tried to do was power lock him, get him in the corner, hit him with 4 hits, backdraft. He held, hit into his block twice, backdraft, he held again, and then I went back in again, which is not a good idea. So on that second time, if he's still holding his block on you, just hold your block, just back out, hold your block, and let him attack into you. I hope that was clear. As I said it, it sounded a little bit more confusing, but just watch that fight. You'll see the mistake that I made, and that would be the advice to get you over the hump there. And hopefully prevent you from ever dying to Dormammu boss, because really with the 565 magic, you should not be dying to Dormammu bosses. If you are, you shouldn't be fighting Dormammu bosses. So that is it. Look at all those pots that I used. Look at all the items. It was an expensive war for me. So anyway, we did end up winning this war. GØRE, pretty strong alliance, so I wish them the very best finishing out the season. But that is it, guys. Thanks for watching. Leave a like or a comment.